Welcome back to the Real Frame of Mind reviews movies. And today we saw, or yesterday rather, we saw Blade Runner 2049, starring Ryan Gosling, Dave Bautista. Who else is in this? Jared Leto.
Dave Bautista.
He is the second villain. I think he is the second person in the movie.
The second person we see in the movie. And it's directed by Denis Villeneuve. I don't know.
No, Denis V.
I don't know exactly if that's
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
At the end.
Oh, well,
It's
there is
apparently.
a V in the name, but it's silent apparently. And yeah, so this movie obviously takes place 30 years after the original Blade Runner, and it just follows Agent K, who is played by Ryan Gosling, who is a Blade Runner.
Not Tommy Lee Jones.
Nope, not Tommy Lee Jones, correct. Who is the current Blade Runner, and he is kind of just investigating a new case involving replicants. So I'm going to swing it to Damon first. Damon, what is your thoughts on this film?
It was good. I was very tired when we went into this movie. It was a long day, and it's a 2:45 hour. No, God,
2 hour 45 minute.
Speaking, yes, 2 hours 45 minutes. So we got out almost 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning almost.
It's close to one.
I was fucking dead. So I don't remember a whole lot about the movie. The things that stick out to me are the things that I didn't like. Which I know I've argued with Trace about this a couple times already today, was the sound. I wasn't a huge fan of the sound, because it would go from near silence to just like deafening music like that, and it just killed me. Especially since I was like, when it wasn't near silence, there was parts where I was like, I started to kind of like close my eyes and drift off a little bit, and being awoken by that fucking music was not pleasant. It was really not pleasant. But I digress. There were some. I liked the performances. I especially liked Ryan Gosling. He was good. He played the role of a synth really well. Like a synth who knows he's a synth. Because in the first one.
Should we not say stuff about that? It's kind of a reveal, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
You figure it out like 2 seconds into the movie.
I know, but I feel like it's a reveal. But
That's fine.
Fuck
Now you know.
I'm just gonna.
This is going great. All right,
Yeah. Just skip me.
Okay, Scott, what are your thoughts on this?
Look, I actually was on the whole, the digression that Damon got on about the sound. I was totally on board when Zimmer did that for, what was it, Interstellar?
Mm-hmm.
I almost said Avatar.
He did Interstellar, Inception,
yeah,
all kind of like that too.
Yeah, Interstellar was one that I couldn't find a rhythm to. That's why it annoyed me so much, and it was always playing over people talking. Now, this film, this is another digression, which we try to clean up before we... Never mind. Every time we try to do something, it never fucking works. But
Yeah.
so, like, I thought it did better this time. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the film, I did not know how long the movie was, which actually I thought helped. It didn't matter anyways. I was involved from the beginning to the end, and that has a lot to do with Roger Deakins, who hopefully will get nominated and hopefully will win an award finally, after being nominated like 14 times.
This would be his 14th, yeah.
It's unbelievable. Everything was just the way he uses the colors to, like, it's almost like Mars at times.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden then he's using darkness. And then, you have the sort of mirrored reflection shots, which after the final reveal and everything, it all comes to fruition. And that has something to do with the directing as well, which, he most of the time, Denis V doesn't spoon feed audiences. From all of the films up until this one, this is probably the most he gives the audience, because he, obviously retraces steps, has dialogue over things, stuff like that. But there are times, obviously Damon said the performances were outstanding. Even Harrison Ford was outstanding, and that's not a spoiler. You already saw him in the trailers.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that there were points in this film where I actually thought to myself, well, my dreams are shattered. There's no way in hell I could ever produce something on this scale. Like, it's just the thought that goes into all of this is astonishing. And again, to Denis V's directing, there is so much acting, and the acting, there's so much going on with just their faces and their body language. There's not a lot of charisma or emotion. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's not much personality in these characters. They're always straight-faced. They're always sort of, it's somewhat depressing, but the way that they get across their point just by eyes or, a head tilt or, a certain way that they look. And Denis V just holds on it for so long, and it gets the point across, and it's like, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine. Really, what else I have to say about this is you're looking for who's going to take up the mantle with, like, Spielberg and Scorsese when they're done, Tarantino when he's done. Like, this guy is on the radar. He's so good. He's so freaking good.
He is.
And just everything he does with his humanistic themes and everything. Like, there's so much in this movie that you don't get from the actual trailer, and you got to see it to believe. And I will say this, for those of you who are not, I would say those of you who are not into Blade Runner or sci-fi, then the runtime probably will hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
There are times in the movie where I'm like, okay, it's getting a little slow, but it's Denis V. His movies, he likes to take a while to tell his stories, and it's worth it in the end.
Take your time.
I don't know. What else did you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I loved the movie. And I think it's good that we got some time to dwell on it. If we were to do this review last night like we originally planned, I think maybe I wouldn't have as much to say because I was still just kind of reeling from it. But yeah, no, I think this movie was breathtaking. And it just really, it's a spectacle to see. And I hear a lot of people throwing around, like, this is, like, I hear a lot of taglines saying, this is what we go to see movies for, movies like this. And I think that really says it all. I mean, even if you're not, necessarily a fan of the genre or even the subject matter like Blade Runner, I think just the look of this movie is something to admire as somebody who respects film, because like Scott said, Deacon is the star of this film. That the way this movie looks, every single frame is a treat to the eyes. And yeah, I was tired as heck last night too. We had a long day, and I mean, even with how tired I was able to literally watch almost all 3 hours of that film and be attached and be with throughout the story. And I think that has a lot to do with Denis as the director too. He did such a great job, and he is such an astonishing director to take something like this that is an already established franchise, or I guess story.
Well,
and
the way he's edited that one movie so many times, it pretty much is a franchise.
Yeah, exactly. And make it something that holds on to the fundamentals of the original, but makes it something on its own too. It's really, really well done in that, right? Because there isn't a whole lot that translates from the first one, besides some of the one character you see with Harrison Ford's character, and in the idea of replicants and what is being human. And but they take that idea and they make it its own, because it is 30 years later, and it kind of at times almost has a reflection to our society, and that's what the first film tried doing, which was trying to do it before anybody really wanted to talk about stuff like that. So I didn't really have the reaction it should have had, and then this movie is doing it now, which I think is great. As for as well as acting, I think the acting pretty much across the board was great, especially with characters or actors that aren't necessarily household names. Some of the supporting actors, specifically the women, like Sylvia Hoeks, which is Love, one of the characters. She was awesome. I really, when you said like the facial expressions, she doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue or a lot of emotion until near the end, but she really chimes in. And then the main love interest of Ryan Gosling's character.
Mackenzie Davis was in there too.
Yeah, Mackenzie Davis as well. Yeah, and I think this is just a really great cast. If I had to say some negatives, I didn't really know or necessarily care for Jared Leto's character all that much. I feel like it was
just every movie he's in now.
No, I don't mind, like, and I don't mind Jared Leto either. But I just thought this one was a little bit, and I get what they were going with. It was the Tyrell of this film, but I don't know. I guess I felt like it was odd, you know, when he was on the screen, and it's almost unnecessary. But
we were talking to Taylor about it earlier, and I was like, the way they left it off with him, like nothing happening to him, it almost feels like they're trying to build up for another movie or something.
Yeah,
which I don't think they should.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I felt that. I think it was just. I mean, what was his? That is kind of. If I say that they're not building up for another movie, then they do kind of just leave him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if. I guess the main goal was to do what they did in the end of the film.
And I get it.
It feels like at that point, then why even have him in the movie if he's gonna just, you know, they could have done it with just his name. They didn't have to have an actual character.
Yeah, I mean and that's just honestly nitpicking for me. Because the scenes were still really cool, especially like his lair, if you will, where the lighting was like water, like underwater scenes felt like it was really, really cool looking. So at least it was visually appealing. But yeah, no. And just touching on the sound, I'm with Scott. I thought the sound made the film feel epic. It made it feel like this big, awesome thing. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it every time it came up.
I feel like when I watch it again, which is probably gonna be tomorrow, it won't bother me as much. It just, at the time, I was just like,